What's going on, everybody? My name is Harry Lyles Jr. I'm a staff writer with ESPN, and today we have the honor and privilege of talking to Nick A30, the good guy of gaming, and, we can't forget the edit god as well. Nick, what's going on, man?
What's going on, Harry? Can't forget about that
No,
old name. Yep, I remember.
can never forget. I'm not letting it go away. I'm not letting it go away, man. You doing all right today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Glad
Awesome,
to
man.
be a part of this with you,
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Let's do it. So, just to kind of get us started here, I know obviously you're a big name, so a lot of people who are here, they already know a lot about you and what you do and things like that. But let's kind of get started with your origins, right? Because in talking to you in the past, I feel like where you come from and things like that not only just builds you as a person, but it also builds, your brand and who you are. So kind of just, tell us where, Nick A30 got started.
Yeah. So I think I can go back to my days of even junior high, high school, back when I was studying in school. So that was the main thing that I would always prioritize is just school, school, school. Long ago when I was young, I had this, vision in my head that I wanted to become a doctor. And how do I become a doctor? Get the best grades that I possibly can. And as I tried to do that, I realized the only way I could do that to the best of my ability is, focus on nothing but school, nothing but studying and getting good grades on tests and 100% only. So that was basically what I was doing from junior high to high school, even to university. And, as with anything, the more you do it, the more it can wear at you and eventually it gets, tiresome and tiresome and tiresome. So gaming was kind of my way to kind of take a break from that. And I think, I didn't really do anything really with friends, or I didn't party. I didn't do any of that stuff just because I think gaming was that simple 30-minute break and then back to studying, or 45 minutes or 15 minutes. And you didn't have to plan for it. You didn't have to make a set time with friends. So it was kind of quick to the point and I could prioritize on my school as much as I could. So, it transitioned, to make a long story short, transitioned all the way into university like that. And I was doing YouTube on the side. And eventually I just got burnt out on school. It's all I was doing. No social life, no nothing. I was having no fun. And I'm like, I went to my dad, and among other conversations, basically the gist of it was, Nick, you have 1 year to do good in YouTube and to do good on making videos and streaming. And if you can, show me that you can do it for a full-time job and make an income off of that, then, you can do it. But if not, you got to go back to school and you got to get a real job, as they said back in the day.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's actually funny you mentioned that too, because one of the questions that, we've got from the viewers is, obviously you did attend university. What would your advice be to young people that are looking to pursue academics while actively gaming and streaming? Because, obviously, in just knowing you, your work ethic is incredible. I mean, I think it's something that anybody would want to strive for, things like that. But for, maybe somebody who might still have their eyes on academics in a different kind of profession, what kind of balance would you suggest in kind of, whether it's streaming and content creating and videos while also chasing academics?
Yeah, the classic story is, people want to drop out of school and just pursue full-time gaming and in YouTube and streaming. But that's honestly not the smartest thing that you could do, because you need to show that there's something there. And that's basically what I went and I showed my dad. I showed numbers and analytics and all this stuff. And I already had some previous success with it. So I think the best thing that people could do is they have to realize that you're going to have to make a sacrifice, whether that's a little bit of sleep, whether that's hanging out with friends, whether that's no partying on the weekends, whether that's not going out, or maybe not going for a drive, not reading a book. You need to sacrifice stuff if you want to do it to the best of your ability. And so I would just say, choose what your priorities are and make sure you dedicate time to them.
No, for sure. For sure. And just for you, you're obviously known for, having positivity, a family-friendly stream, things like that. Was that a conscious decision that you made, or was that really just that's just you, right? That's just how you are and things like that?
Right. Yeah, that's something. So when I was really young, I mean, even when like I said, when I was in junior high and high school, I was studying to the point where I was pretty burnt out and exhausted. So, I mean, there were times where I just genuinely wasn't happy with myself. I was very, upset and sad. And, there are times where it's I want to be going out and I want to be doing stuff. So I think, a little bit of it is who I am, but part of it is that I always want to show the best version of myself when there's someone there. I don't like showing a part of me. If I'm sad, I don't want to show that to anyone. So YouTube was that thing when I was making videos at the time where I was trying to show the best side of me, the side of me that people would want to see, basically. and, in doing that and constantly, showing that positive side, it eventually, kind of becomes who you are. That was a side that, when you're recording for 2 hours every single day and you're trying to be positive, like you genuinely do become much happier. It's like, they say go smile in a mirror for 2 minutes before a presentation and you'll genuinely be happier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically, what I would do. But part of it is, who I am. Like I have that, cringe factor that everyone always associates with me. I watch back my streams after I'm done them as I'm editing my videos. And I'm like, why do I say this stuff? And how can I be so cringy? And what's up with that laugh and all this stuff? I mean, it is what it is, basically.
I do think that is a good example, though, too, because also I would argue, and correct me or tell me how you feel about this, that in terms of gaming, right? There's so much toxicity to be found, in different types of games where that's, it could be on Twitch, it could be on YouTube, it could be in specific game lobbies, things like that. But ultimately you're just being yourself and surrounding yourself with positivity. And I think for you and for a lot of the people here, they want to be like you in one way or another, whether it's because of the positivity or they want to have the similar job that you have or the influence that you have. So I feel like, even with like what I do, just being myself has gotten me to where I am. And that's worked that way with you. So I think too, what would you kind of tell the young ones out there who want to be like, maybe have Nick A30's job, but maybe they want to be a little bit more spicy than Nick A30, Yeah.
Well, first off, let me say that there is definitely a lot more behind the scenes than just gaming kind of thing. Cause I know a lot of people want to be that, a gamer basically, but I guess to the point of advice, I would say, play to your strengths. And I actually tweeted about this yesterday. So, I kind of want to elaborate.
Sure.
So, we all have certain talents. We all, actually to kind of preface, let's say we're watching a streamer or something and we say, hey, that guy's really good at Fortnite. I want to be like that guy and be really, really good. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will, get discouraged along the way because maybe they realize eventually like, oh, geez, I cannot be that good. He's too mechanically gifted or whatever the case may be. So I always say play to your strengths, because if you're not good at Fortnite, maybe you have a personality that's really funny. So let that personality shine. If maybe you don't have a funny personality. So maybe focus on something else. Focus on editing a video in a unique way. Learn this edit style, a different edit style by watching YouTube video tutorials. We all have special skills and talents. And I think too many people get caught up on just trying to be a replica of someone that's already successful, when I think you should try to be your own person and try to, let your own skills shine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's a great point. And also that kind of leads into a good question here that I am actually very interested in from Twitter, from Spinorian. They ask, do you consider yourself a content creator first or a pro first?
Right. So, I mean, I think regardless of labels, I think there's just one thing that I want to get across my streams. And it's just, I want to be known as that person that, after a tough day, after a long day, people can just come to my stream and get some entertainment, whether that's entertainment through comedy, humor, or whether that's from competitive gameplay, whether that's from just like, good vibes. I think too many people get caught up on these labels like, oh, you're a content creator, you're not a pro player. But I think like a content creator is just as amazing. Like, you know what I mean? People would love that job. And I think it's a really cool thing. So I just pride myself on being a content creator, a pro player, literally any label you want to give me. So I guess to answer that, I don't really have a label for myself except just, I want to be entertaining.
No, absolutely. And, honestly, I think that's one of your talents is that I know, for me personally, like if I'm trying to see some of the most incredible plays, I'm going to go watch Booga. If I want to see memes, I'm going to go watch our buddy Sancho West. Right.
Yes.
And if I want to see both, like, sometimes in the morning, you're getting 100 players to do X, Y, and Z, and then you're doing, scrim trios in the late afternoon. So, so no, I mean, it's good that you've got that mix, because it kind of keeps things fresh. But, one of the other things that I'm kind of curious about, right? Because this whole thing about being a famous gamer or streamer, or, whatever the case may be, it's a lot of, it's a different world, honestly. And I think one that a lot of people have not had their eyes opened up to. And maybe that's even for some of the people here who want to be like you. What is one of the parts of becoming a famous streamer that you didn't expect would change your life?
I would say one of the things, that's a really good question. I think one of the things that surprised me when I became a streamer and I guess became successful is, how many people are kind of in a similar scenario as you. So I noticed one of the things was I'd come into my streams early before I start streaming, and I'd notice people would be talking with each other and not just waiting for me. So they'd be making friends and not just necessarily me being the center of attention. And I thought that was super cool because that's kind of the first step in realizing like I had a community, and I guess it made me happy. And you kind of realize like, this is something that maybe other people who, are studying a lot, like in my situation, might not have friends. And, then you can make friends through streaming and through chat. So I think that's something that surprised me. I don't know if that really answered your question too much. I kind of strayed.
No, I mean, I do think that is an interesting point though, because, and I think that, for me personally, like this entire world is also still, relatively new for me.
Right.
But one of the interesting things that, I have also noticed on the platform and specifically in your stream as well is, those relationships do exist. And sometimes they carry over into other streams and things like that.
Literally, actually, you mentioned Sancho West earlier. Literally, I met him online from not Fortnite, but The Last of Us, just by watching his videos. I commented a few times and I tweeted him, and I was like, I love your content. And I was actually a fan of his in the past. And I reached out to him. He was actually a bigger YouTuber than I was. And then I'm like, dude, we should totally collab, similar to like any comment you'd see, right? And eventually we did this collab. And actually the first collaboration we did, if I'm not mistaken, was called Ready, Aim, Fire. And it's actually on Sancho West's channel. Before that, he did this, it's kind of off topic, but he did these little fan loadout videos where we get to pick a loadout and he would use it. And he featured me a couple times. Then it transitioned into that Ready, Aim, Fire video.
Okay.
But point is, I think it's just super cool how you can meet friends online. And I've met so many people, literally everyone I play with, I've met online.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is amazing. It's certainly a different world we're living in. And, kind of to that point, cause you mentioned like, Sancho used to be a bigger YouTuber than you and things like that. I'm kind of curious for you. I think for everybody who is successful, whether that's content creating, writing, any kind of profession, right? There is a level of success or something that happens to you that makes you feel like, okay, like I'm onto something here, or like I've made it. I'm kind of curious if you've had either, not even just one of those moments, because I do think, and I'm just guessing here for you, you've probably had more than one of those moments just because like we're kind of seeing that this is a different thing that's happening right now in the world. So I'm kind of curious, what are those moments? What is the moment or moments for you?
One of the moments actually is you referred me as the Edda God earlier. So when I was streaming actually on YouTube, that was actually the first name that kind of got my name out there. Like, who is this guy? He's the Edda God, the Edda God. So I was just like browsing YouTube. I don't really remember the specifics, but I remember I was on YouTube one night and I saw it in my recommended feed. And basically what it was is on Fortnite, there's these clip channels and they'll basically put a compilation of clips and they'll have titles on this streamer and this streamer and this streamer. And I would always watch them and I'd be submitting my clips and I'd be like, I want to be on that channel one day. I want to be on it. And sure enough, I got recommended a video and it's like Edit God, !, of Fortnite. And it had my face in it in the thumbnail. And that was just kind of one of the cooler moments where I'm like, oh my God, no way, I'm getting recognition now.
No, absolutely, man. And for everybody here, and correct me if I'm wrong, The Last of Us was kind of like your first like main squeeze with content creation and gaming and things like that. Yeah. And then obviously you moved on to Fortnite. What was that transition kind of like, obviously? Because I'm certain, and at least I think of this, and, tell me if I'm right or wrong here. I imagine there's got to be some kind of, nerves, right? Because you built your platform or, you got it started on this particular game. Yeah. And obviously it's certainly not like frightening to do it with a game like Fortnite that was picking up popularity the way it was and things like that. And it's become this game that is just unbelievable that none of us, I don't think, could have expected. Yeah. But is there any kind of like fear in that to kind of like, okay, I'm moving off of this thing that's worked for me and now we're going to go into this new world?
It's actually, with this example, I always say like, this is why you should never focus on your viewer numbers or your views or any of that stuff, because sometimes they can be wrong. So when I made the switch from The Last of Us to Fortnite, I was actually getting way less views. Like, let's say, I think at the time when I was doing the Last of Us streams, I was averaging like 200 viewers. I do a Fortnite stream and I get like 50 viewers. This was after I'd worked like for years to build up my channel to like 30,000 subscribers. And you know, it was going down and down, and I'd post a video and it would make my other videos that were The Last of Us actually perform worse. And I'm like, you know what though? Like, I'm kind of burnt out on The Last of Us. I've been making content for 2 years on it. They haven't done any updates. I just want to play something I'm enjoying. And I think when you enjoy something, you put a lot more effort into the videos, whether that's with like the editing style, whether that's with enthusiasm and you're excited and you're happy. And, you know, so basically I was a lot more enthusiastic with that game, and I was a lot more excited, and I was putting so much time into editing and doing daily uploads on top of streams. And eventually it went from going like this to starting to pick up and up and up and up and up. And that was after like a month or 2 or 3 or 4 months. I can't remember, but I think it was around September the game went free to play in 2017. And I think in like January the next year, my channel started to pick up. I can't remember the specific dates. I really have to like go back to my analytics and see. But it took like a solid few months for it to actually be noticeable, like differences in numbers. So that's why numbers don't always tell the truth, and always, you know, do what you're passionate about and good things will come.
No, that's great advice. I think with anything, it's just kind of, you know, as long as you're focused and, you know, you're on the mark there, you know, good things will happen. I'm also kind of curious because, you know, you mentioned creating your YouTube videos. Do you still do that?
It's funny that you mentioned that. So probably about, I would say 9 months ago, I got an editor. And basically I would have them edit the video. So I'll give you the whole rundown on how it works if you're interested in hearing it.
Yeah, no, totally.
Long. Okay, I'll try to speed it up. So after I end a stream, I basically go through my entire stream, all the footage, all the things that I personally clipped, and I will basically rename the file. Okay, so I'll name highlight, funny moment, headshot, and basically it'll allow us to sort it for highlights videos. If there's a long recording, I'll say recording from 23:15 to 53:16. Fortnite trivia. And then I'll basically say like edit from this to this. So then I upload that to the drive, Google Drive. I will then go on Google Documents. I'll create some notes on how I'd like the video to be made. I'll be like, okay, let's not focus on the negativity here. Let's focus on the positivity. Let's cut this out. Let's put this in there. Make sure when this question shows up, let's have this pop up. And I leave like a ton of notes. So I also upload the replay files. Then basically I'll send it to my editor and he will edit it. He'll send it to me. He puts it on frame.io, if you've heard of that. It's basically like a program where you can leave notes on timestamps, and I'll go through the whole video. I'll watch it all and I'll be like, okay, let's change this, cut this, do this. And then I send it back. He revises it. If it's good, we go and upload it to YouTube. Same thing with a thumbnail. So I upload it to YouTube and I do the tags, descriptions, cards, all that stuff. So I still do that stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's kind of long. I'm kind of going.
No, this is great.
Detail. Okay. And then as of right now, though, I started to edit my videos again. We're kind of looking for some more editors to add to the team. So right now I'm back in that. And I'm so thankful that I started where I started on YouTube, because I learned how to edit myself just by watching YouTube tutorials. And it's such a useful skill, because what happens if you get stuck without an editor? Like, you know, someday it's like you can edit your own videos and you're good. So we're looking for some editors out of the team, and I still do a lot of that though.
Okay. Well, hey, if you're out there watching this, sounds like Nick A30 needs more video editors. So, you know, no, that's awesome. And the reason I was curious about that too is because obviously last time, or at least not the last time we talked, but at TwitchCon, I was very impressed because you were still doing that. And I could just tell that, and, you know, this is just kind of for everybody else out there, just kind of some background information. Like in talking to Nick, you could see how much like you love still putting the detail into every little thing, even after, you know,
it drives me crazy
on your deal with Twitch and things like that. But I mean, like, just, it is that level of commitment, honestly, that is impressive and has gotten you to where you are. But, you know, kind of moving on here. I want to talk about Fortnite, man. I want to talk about Fortnite a little bit.
Yep.
I'm curious for you, man, because, you know, obviously you're still doing it, still grinding every day, you know, doing all the good stuff. I'm curious how committed you feel to it right now, because a lot of streamers are moving on to playing, you know, the new Call of Duty, Valorant, which, you know, and you've tried other games, obviously, and done that. But I'm kind of like curious, where do you stand on moving on? Because I wouldn't necessarily say that Fortnite is dead. I feel like a lot of people try to, you know, put a stamp on it, whether it is or is not, as opposed to just playing what they want to play. But I'm curious, like, kind of where you stand on that, because it still seems like you're getting a lot of juice out of that orange.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about variety and mixing it up. And that can apply to playing different games or just with regards to Fortnite itself, the content. So I noticed on Twitch, because Twitch is like more like gamer focused, there's a
Mhm.
lot of hardcore gamers on there who have, seen a lot of the content on Fortnite and they want to see something different and something more like competitive, for example, which most
Mhm.
people aren't able to play because they don't have the time. They might not be good enough. So I've been focusing a lot more on that. And I noticed that my streams do super, super well when I focus on the competitive side of things. So I've been mixing it up with that regard. But also I've been trying other games and I think that's super important as well, just because, what I talked about earlier, how it's all about doing what you're passionate about. And if you're
Mhm.
happy, it will turn into a much better content and you never know what game is the next game. So I don't feel, to answer your question,
Mhm.
I don't feel like 100% too committed on Fortnite. I feel
Mhm.
like if I wanted to, I have like an amazing community that backs me with any game I play. So I feel like I could switch and I could play out other games, but as of right now, I definitely, with the competitive scene of Fortnite announcing a lot of like $5 million tournaments and everything, I want to stick with it
Mhm.
while mixing in other games.
That's very interesting, and we've got a good question, follow-up question here from
Mhm.
viewer Zalem4 from Twitter. What are your hopes for competitive Fortnite in the future? Please and thank you.
Oh, the please and thank you. We'd love to see
Right.
it. Um, I think that I just want something. Well, you know what? I think actually they're doing a great job. They've laid out their overview of what they're going to be announcing, what they're going to be doing. And I
Mhm.
think as long as it's consistent, because they've been doing these cash cups every single day
Mhm.
and people love them. Like they love it. I love like a set schedule where you're going to go to a stream and you're going to be watching this specific person play this specific tournament. That's super important because you want to be a part of people's like schedules and daily life. And what Fortnite's doing with that is amazing. So I think just more consistency with the tournaments. And I'm happy because I think they're narrowing down the perfect format for competitive. So can't complain.
No, without a doubt, without a doubt. And I'm kind of curious too because there are a lot of criticisms, maybe fair and unfair, about the current state of the game, which we don't
I
need to necessarily get into.
yeah.
But I will ask you though, what
Uh-huh.
specific things about past seasons in Fortnite do you miss?
Yeah.
Whether that's from
Okay.
Chapter 1, Season 1, or whatever.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I miss about Fortnite is not specific to Fortnite itself. It's
Mhm.
more, well, it could be, but I think it's about everyone now has a team in Fortnite, a trio, a duo, a squad because of how heavy Fortnite competitive has taken over like the scene with regards to streaming. People want to see that now because they're bored of just regular content.
Mhm.
So there's just less collaborations. And before, back in the day, it was about getting on and you party up with this dude and this dude and this dude. And then, hey, let's have some fun content with this guy and this guy. Now in competitive, everyone just has a team and everyone's playing from this time to this time and then they're off. This time to this time, then they're off. And you
Mhm.
can't really, there's not very much variety in that sense with like,
Mhm.
collaborations as there once was, which I miss a lot.
Yeah, no, and speaking of competitive, we've got a good question here. Someone's
Mhm.
deciding to put you on the spot, a
Okay.
viewer. How well do you think you will place in the 2021 World Cup when you qualify?
Ooh, okay. Well, it goes back to what you asked earlier. Like, do you still edit your own
Mhm.
videos and how much of that is a big factor? So I know people want to see me do well, but there's just so much that I want to do. And, with my YouTube channel and with just managing everything else, I just have to do it because I feel like I don't know what it is with me. I'm not perfect, but I try to be the best that I can be, and I try to like
Mhm.
be a perfectionist with everything. So like I just want to do everything myself, and that leaves a lot less time for competitive. So to answer your
Yeah,
question, I'm gonna try my best. I'm never gonna back down, never gonna give up. But
that's
yeah,
about as
I'll
good
let
as
that speak
anybody
for
could ask
itself.
for, man.
Okay, yeah, I'll
I
let
mean,
that speak for
yeah, no, that's about as anybody, as good as anybody could
right,
ask for.
right.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, just for you, obviously, you made the move from YouTube to Twitch.
Mhm.
But I think within that, obviously, YouTube is still a very big platform for you. My
Yep.
question for you is, how has your live streaming content changed since you moved over?
Yeah, I think talking about like competitive, I think it's definitely more heavily focused on competitive because we talked about how Twitch, there's a lot more like gamer, not all gamers, but there's a lot more gamers on there, a lot more people who are knowledgeable about this game and this game and this game because that's what they're going on there for, to watch games that they've already played So I think with where Fortnite is at in its life cycle, people definitely want to see more competitive than just regular solos and, the random duos that we once did. I think those don't do as well. So it's changed in that regard, like more competitive focused. But I think with regards to the Switch in general, I think my community has become a lot more positive and just a lot more like family friendly, you could say, because Twitch has like some amazing moderation tools. They have so many different features. It's just unbelievable. Like you can click on someone's name and you can see their comments from like a year ago. So like you can see who banned. I don't know. There's just so many different features, and it helps so much with, what I like to do is, create a family friendly, positive community.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And shout out to all the moderators out there doing some great work, right?
We love them.
Got to. And to also piggyback off of that last question, so obviously, the live streaming stuff changes a little bit. How has that affected your YouTube videos? Like, is there a big change there? Are the goals the same? Like, do you kind of decide like, okay, going into this day, I need to do X, Y, and Z? Like, what's the plan there?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a difficult task because I feel like when I used to stream on YouTube, I could post less videos because I'd always be having some kind of content if it's a stream or if it's a video. Now it's just only videos. So I think the videos are actually performing much better now. And it definitely has, burdened me with a much bigger task because I feel like, most jobs you have like 9 to 5 or whatever, but with, streaming and managing your own YouTube channel and potentially editing your own YouTube videos and uploading it and doing that all while on top of, streaming and focusing on competitive and trying to become a better Fortnite player, it can really wear you out. And I'm not like complaining or anything like that. Like it's an amazing job, of course. Right. But I mean, the more you do something, of course, like eventually you're going to get tired. So it can definitely be stressful, but I think my YouTube has been a lot better view-wise, and I think I could, focus a lot more on making quality content and having the uploads very, very quality-based instead of just like, stream after stream after video after stream after video kind of thing.
No, totally. And you kind of mentioned that there is not necessarily, possibly a burnout at times, but, obviously like this isn't just like nothing, right? Like it does take a toll on you. A question that we have from a viewer is, does streaming affect your physical health, like your eyes or anything else? And how do you, take care of those things in your own health?
Yeah. So there's definitely points where I've been streaming and I've genuinely been tired. I always, shy away from talking about this because it sounds like I'm complaining and it's like, oh, boo-hoo, Nick, poor you, but I mean, I'm just being honest. Like there are times where you're genuinely tired and, you might not feel like streaming. Like there's always going to be a job out there that's like that, of course, like the more you do it. I love streaming, of course. But yes, there are times where I think my eyes get exhausted and I have to like just take a break from streaming, from looking at the computer, and I kind of unwind by going for a jog. I think balancing your life like that is super important. So exercising, I think making sure you're drinking the perfect amount of water. I think, just mixing it up besides gaming and streaming and not letting that be your only pillar holding up your life. Because especially with like, how analytics are so heavily based on streaming and how everyone always looks at their views and their numbers. And if you're putting everything on that one pillar, like just streaming, and that's all you have and all you're focusing on, it can really bring you down to a low mental state when you might not have the best week of streaming or the best week of posting content. So balance is super important.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I've got 2 viewer questions here, but one of these apparently everybody wants to know. So we're just going to get straight to it. They want to know, does dating affect your streaming?
Oh, so they're trying to see if I have a secret girlfriend, as if I've been dating. I can tell you guys. So I've learned in the past, I will always keep that, personal. And I will always, if I ever date someone in the future, no, I'm not dating someone currently. I'm going to keep that off because people get really invested. It's because they care, right? People care about you. They want to see you with someone. They want you to be happy. But they get a little too invested. And if you moved on or if something didn't, work out or whatever, it's like they will hold on to that person and never let it go. So no, I'm not dating anyone. I haven't dated I went on a couple dates. It didn't really work out, like here in Nova Scotia, and I am still single.
Oh, hey, listen, I mean, with the pandemic, now you've got a great excuse to not do anything, right? I mean, it's
Exactly.
just not the best for business right now, So,
okay, actually, Harry, I'm curious about you now with
sure.
with dating with you now. Have you noticed that affects your job, or with something that's, very similar, like you're online, you might be writing articles, you might be interviewing. Right. What about you?
I mean, honestly, for me, my thing is always just self-care, right? Like I make time for my work. I make time for my personal life. I have been dating. I have a girlfriend right now.
Okay,
and
nice.
She's very, very supportive of like, okay, like he's working right now. Like, sometimes it's like, hey, can I get him some water? Maybe a snack or something like that. Or sometimes I need downtime, right? And we just hang out and stuff like that. So like, that's cool. But for me, I think it really just affects the individual. Cause obviously some of us have more experience dating than others, but I think ultimately, for anybody who is really trying to perfect the craft or kind of just take care of themselves or, become somebody within their own field, I think it's good to prioritize yourself first, because I know you kind of mentioned like you feel like you're complaining when, you say it does take a wear and tear on you, but I do think that is just a lot of truth. And, at the end of the day, you really, do need to take care of yourself. So for me, I feel like I've gotten a good balance. I haven't always been good at that. But obviously as I've gotten older, I'm 28 years old now. We've got that kind of balance. So, I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. I got no complaints. So
that's good.
So,
that's good.
So
so
no
you're
complaints.
saying I should get a girlfriend. It will help out with that work-life balance.
I mean, listen, I'm never the kind of person who's like, you should or should not date somebody, or like that needs to be a part of your life. But if it's going to be healthy for you, then by all means, you know what I mean? But I'm never like, you need to force the issue there. So
fair enough.
So, kind of going back to that self-care, one of the other viewer questions was, how many hours do you recommend for smaller streamers to stream a day to grow their own channel?
That's a good question. So I think with streaming, when you're smaller, you might waste a lot of time, because let's say you're streaming to only 1 viewer, 0 viewers, 2 viewers, right? And you could be using that time on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram, whatever, making clips and editing and, appealing to a much larger audience to then bring them to your streams. Because I think it's really hard to be discovered as a streamer, whether on any platform. Like very few people are going to scroll down to the bottom of a game section and click on that one person with 0 viewers. What's usually the case is they come because they've seen you on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. So I would say, maybe try for like an hour or two, see how your numbers are doing. Although numbers aren't everything, like I mentioned before, see how they're doing though. And then, try to find a more beneficial use of your time, if that makes sense. So like learn how to edit videos in a unique way, learn how to add the text and keyframe it so it's following the character's head, and do unique stuff like that will make people say like, this guy's funny and he has really funny edits. I want to kind of see him on stream.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I kind of want to jump back to something you mentioned in there, because you've brought this up a couple of times, the not worrying about the numbers, right? You don't play the numbers game, like whether it's been you or Sancho or Julie or any other, number of streamers that you and I both know. It's always been interesting in conversation. The one thing that everybody comes back to is that early in your streaming, like, don't worry about your numbers, whether that's like view count or like, people that are watching you live, things like that. How do you recommend that people kind of navigate that? Because I imagine it's hard not to. And I know on Twitch they have a feature where you can hide your view count, but how do you recommend people kind of like, okay, it's hard not to look at that, and you want to like see growth, but like, how do you just kind of like, put the blinders on and keep going?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because I think there's so many great smaller streamers out there that don't get the attention they deserve. And if you were to like take away viewership and numbers and you just put all these streamers and you just had to pick, I feel like there would be, and then eventually you just gave the viewers the numbers back, you would see so many smaller streamers be up there. It's just so hard to get recognized. So I would say in order to like kind of put that to the side, I think, well, I would say the reason why I say don't focus on numbers is because it can really take a hit at your motivation and your whatever it is that you're going for, your positivity, because you're streaming and you look and you have 1 viewer, 2 viewers or whatever. And it might actually like, you might think like, am I doing something wrong? Why don't I have people watching me? I've been putting so much time into it. I think that, you know, there are so many great and talented streamers out there. So in order to not focus on the numbers, I would say collaborate with people who have similar numbers as you, because one of the things that I've noticed, even with my channel and my size, is that I have a lot more fun as of lately playing with friends than I do playing with solos. And when I'm playing solos, I tend to look at viewers and I tend to focus on those little things a lot more than when I'm gaming with friends and just having genuine fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it should be about at first. You know, I think that could be one of the best takeaways that I've learned. So I don't know if that really answers it, but collaborating and playing with a squad with friends is super important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously nobody's here to hear my advice, but I mean, to your point about being like, hey, if you're not having fun with something, maybe it's not for you. Cause I mean, the reason I got into sports and what I do is because I didn't want to do anything else with my life. So, you know, that's why I put my best foot forward. And, you know, even on the worst days, it's like, man, I feel lucky to have my job. And I know you feel the same way about yours. So, you know, I think that's great advice. Another viewer question we have here from Melissa Doyle 98.
I recognize her.
All right, there we go. Okay. If yourself today could go back and tell yourself something from when you first started content creating on YouTube, what would you say?
Okay, that's a good one. I would say stop. That's really tough. Stop stressing about trying to be so perfect with every little edit and videos, and to the point where it totally, like, I don't know, it just makes you exhausted, like mentally, physically, everything. Because I go back to my videos now and I remember staying up till 3 a.m. re-rendering this because I wanted to make one small change after I had it uploaded and I realized this was a mistake and then no one would notice. Stuff like that, right? And you go back to my videos now and I'm like, this video sucks. Like, did I really spend that much time on it? I think, I don't know, I value that too much, of perfection and being a perfectionist, even though I'm not. And like, I look back and like I said, so I missed out on a lot of opportunities in life to hang out with friends and connect. And I think connecting is a super big thing, whether that's connecting with, you know, your loved one, you know, your girlfriend, friends, people in a similar situation as you. Making those connections early on are super important. And I would definitely change that.
Yeah. Well, kind of, I guess, semi-related to that, another viewer question, since you mentioned, like, I can't believe I made that video. Somebody wants to know, what is your favorite streaming moment that you've got? Or, you know what, give me two. Let's take two, because I'm sure there are some, like, you know, funny good and funny bad.
Okay, one is when I was a smaller streamer, I was like everyone else. I want to play with this guy. I want to play with that guy. Ninja, I want to play with him. And this is when I had like 50 viewers, 100 viewers, and I told my chat every day, like, I want to play with Ninja when I'm older, when I grow, and I'm gonna play with them, guys. So eventually, you know, I was growing and I was doing Fortnite Fridays with Julie, with One Shot Girl.
Right.
And, you know, my channel was blowing up. I was getting like hundreds of thousands of viewers, 100,000 viewer, like on YouTube for like one Friday Fortnite. And I think that got Ninja's attention. And I was like tweeting at him. And eventually, you know, we were going to set up a collab. We were going to play together. So Ninja opens up my stream, and then everyone in my chat starts spamming like, Ninja's watching, Ninja's watching, Ninja's watching. So I turn over and I'm like, wait, what? He's watching? And so I say like, well, it looks like we got to put on a show. And then I ended up getting sniped like literally a second after I said that. And I don't explain it well, but if you see the clip, the timing of it was priceless, because I'm like midway through a jump and I'm like, we got to put on a show. Boom. And I'm dead and I'm eliminated. Ninja starts like bursting out laughing. It was the funniest thing ever.
You put on a show. All right. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's one. I don't know. So you said favorite moments. I would say, I think that's all I got for number one favorite.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's a really good one
that I can think of. I'm nervous, so that's all I got right now. But I'm sure I'll think of so much more.
No, listen, that's fair. And you know, you mentioned, you know, a future or a collab with him, which kind of just, you know, makes me think about, okay, you know, obviously you're known as a good guy of game. You keep a family friendly stream, positivity, things like that. Right. Has keeping, you know, that your brand and on your stream, you know, prevented you from missing certain opportunities? Or do you feel like you've missed certain opportunities because of that, because you have not been able to collaborate with other gamers who perhaps are not as positive or family friendly?
That's a great transition, by the way. Yeah. So, in the past, I would definitely not play with people who would curse, which is literally like 90% of streamers out there.
Right.
And I realized, like, what am I doing? People want to see me play with this guy and this guy and this guy. So, you know, I told people and I let people know, it's like, guys, if I'm ever going to put PG-13 in my title, basically what that means is there could be swearing on my stream. And it doesn't mean I'm never going to swear. I'm not going to. That's just not, you know, what I do, because of how, you know, how I was raised and everything. So what will happen is you could see people who I'm playing with potentially swear. So I definitely have started to collaborate a lot more with people, and I do reactions to people who are like really good competitively, and they'll be swearing, and my chat's understanding of it. They know. And that's basically what I do.
Yeah. What do you recommend for, you know, either people who are, you know, maybe moderately established or coming up trying to be like you, where it's like, okay, you know, there's obviously an understanding that collaborating with other creators certainly helps, but you know, at one point does somebody say, okay, this clearly is not for me, you know, maybe let's not do this? Because you know, obviously it's different for everybody. And I know for you, it needs to be a little bit more strict just because of the nature of your own stream.
Yeah. So you're talking about specifically with regards to like collaborations, right? Like, maybe it's not for me. I know that, so it kind of goes back to playing to your strengths. I know with me, when I collaborate with someone, I get people don't realize, but I'm super, super nervous to play with new people who have a lot of like a big community established already, because it kind of goes back to, I always want to be the best version of myself. And there's a lot of days where I'm like, I'm only feeling 50% or 70%. And I don't want to play with this guy and leave a bad impression and then him not want to play with me again. That's how I think. I don't know. It's weird. So I will definitely shy away from collaborating. And I feel like my content is more natural when I'm not collaborating with people who are bigger streamers. Like, I feel like I'm more myself when I'm with smaller streamers than I am with bigger streamers. It's very strange. But I think, you know, to answer your question about it coming down to like, is collaborating for me, you kind of just got to see what kind of person what kind of person you're trying to collaborate, what kind of person they are. And you can do that now by just going to their YouTube channel, by going to their Twitch and going to past broadcasts, see what they are. And if you think you could be friends with them, you know, in real life, well, then it's going to be a great collaboration. So I think there are many ways to kind of tell.
No, for sure. For sure. And another thing too, that I think is a good question. No one has asked this in the crowd, but I'm sure we've got, you know, some creators out there, people who, you know, are doing well for themselves in streaming or on YouTube or whatever the case may be. And they have very good intentions and genuinely just, you know, man, like I would love to play with Nick A30 or, you know, do whatever. But for you, obviously, you know, with millions of followers on every social platform, like, how would you kind of like, you know, tell those people like, hey, you might have good intentions, like here's the way to go about something like that, or here's the way to not go about something like that?
That's like a really good question too, because, you know, now that I think about it, I know that a lot of people that I play with now, I played with them and I started playing with them because they reached out, and, you know, that's how it got set up. Like, just how people are trying to start playing now. And I guess as of recently, I haven't really give any attention to that. New people like who are smaller trying to reach out. I would say it's super easy as a, you know, larger streamer, as anyone with a following, to kind of think of like, this person just wants to play with me because they want followers, they want viewers, you know what I mean? And that's just like the common mindset that a lot of bigger streamers have. And I understand that mindset. So I think if you're trying to play with the bigger streamer because, you know, you think that you'd be a good fit and a big collaboration, like it would be a good collaboration, I would say you probably should reach out to, well, I'm trying to think, like, how would I find out about someone new and want to play with them?
It's certainly tough to say.
I think if they're part of my community, right? Like, if I know that there's a couple people who I played with now, and they were actually watching my stream and they were in my chat a lot. And then I would see them so often. Even like, for example, my moderator, Tidy, So he was in my YouTube streams a lot. He was in my Twitch streams. He's always just setting a really good example. So we actually had a Rocket Arena tournament, and I wanted to invite him as my teammate because I saw like he was streaming, and I found out about him because he was super positive in my chat. So I went to his streams, and I'm like, you know what? He would be, I think, a really great fit for our stream, and people would love that. So I invited him, and we actually, he ended up winning. I think we got like $4,000 each from the Twitch Rivals tournament. So like it's like life-changing. And I think that would be one of the ways. And sorry to, this is going like very, it's prolonged because I'm trying to think like, how would I play with someone new? I think being in someone's chat a long time and, it's showing that you're part of the community instead of just, I'm just here because I want to play with you kind of thing.
Right. And I think it just, based off of what you said, it sounds like you were able to tell that there was a genuine interest just because, you can't really try hard, right? But if they kind of like work their way, obviously prove themselves as part of the community, and then they essentially just built your trust that way.
And I think a big thing too is like have content on your channel. I will never play with someone new unless I've seen their YouTube, I've seen their Twitter, what they're posting. Are they like cursing and being negative and swearing at Epic Games? Are they on their streams? Are they like, telling F you to the chat and yada, yada, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I made sure like when I went to Tidy's stream, like, how is he handling himself? And I just scrubbed through. I'm not sitting here saying I'm like going through like 50 minutes of footage to kind of determine. I'm just scrubbing through random moments and just seeing. I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
And it's just because I care about my positive, family friendly, like the vibe that we have. So
no, for sure. You guys hear that? Nick A30's watching. He's like Santa Claus. All right. Right. Exactly. I want to transition from that because I want to get to a couple of like more current events here. The current climate for streamers being exclusive on platforms. I'm kind of curious, like, how you feel about that because, obviously you're one of the streamers who has signed a deal. You signed with Twitch and you're exclusive to that platform. We saw, what happened to Mixer and now, Ninja's a free agent and other guys like that. I'm kind of curious, just what your feeling is on that climate. Is that, perhaps sustainable? How does that affect you maybe?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things that, could have happened. Like Ninja switching was one of the best things ever because it allows streamers to like, and it allows brands to see that there's actually potential, for like, look how much, money is involved in this gaming scene. And it brings a lot more mainstream attention and brands and advertisers. So it ends up becoming this thing that can be more sustainable long-term just from that itself. But, with regards to like signing deals and, Twitch signings and Mixer and YouTube, I think, people love streamers and they love specific communities. And I think if someone can get signed and have a steady income and be able to do their job to the best of their ability and not have to be stressed about, the financial side of things, I think that's the best thing. And I'm so happy for anyone that can get signed. So you can focus on, what you love. I don't know if I answered your question. No,
that's perfect. And, honestly too, you're exclusive to Twitch. Right. And in the past, few weeks, month or so, there's, been some sexual misconduct allegations, harassment, things like that. And just in gaming in general, obviously we've all seen it at some point or another, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, any number of just hate. Right. But specifically with Twitch the past few weeks, they've, had those allegations. I'm curious for you as, you're a good dude, good guy at gaming. How do you be an ally against those things and help lead as an example for future generations so we can make gaming and streaming a better environment for everybody?
Yeah, I don't think I'm too fit to answer that. But I think with regards to, my community, I always make sure that we're as welcoming as we can be. And we make sure that we welcome every single person, no matter who you are, no matter, what you stand for. And I always encourage my chat to be friendly to every single person. And if you're not, then, it's harsh as it is, like, we don't want to, want you kind of spreading that hate. Like we want to accept everyone, for who they are. So I think that's like the best thing that I could try to do is just make sure my chat is welcoming and make sure that the community is welcoming, to all that. And, that kind of hate, any of that stuff, it's not welcome in our community.
No, that's perfect. And we need more streams like that.
Thank you.
So, hey, listen, we've got about 10 more minutes here. What do you say we knock out some of these, some viewer questions? All right.
Yes, I would love to.
Let's do it. So one of these here, from Solomon UT on Twitter.
Okay.
What would you see yourself doing right now if it wasn't video game related or Fortnite related?
I would be trying to become a doctor, and I would be miserable and very unhappy. Not sure what kind of doctor, but that was a goal.
Okay, yeah, it probably wouldn't be a great time for that right now. Actually, I have my own question for you since we brought that up. How are you staying fresh right now, given the pandemic? Because obviously, like, you do spend a lot of time at home and things like that. But I think this time is just draining on everybody in different ways. How are you staying fresh?
I think that, focusing on what I love doing, which is gaming and streaming, and really trying to showcase like the best parts of it, like has just genuinely made me happy. Like when you wake up and you kind of, you focus on the positive, as cliche as that sounds, like you genuinely become more positive. But if you're waking up thinking like, oh, the world is, is crap outside and this sucks and this sucks. And you're really like, for example, Twitter timeline, if you follow a lot of people who are negative, you're going to end up being really, really negative. That's all you're going to see. And those opinions and thoughts, eventually they're going to, it's like with life, the more you hang around people, the more you become like them. And if you're hanging around with the wrong people, if you're looking at the wrong tweets, you're going to become a lot more negative. So I think focusing on the positive has allowed me to kind of stay fresh, if that makes sense.
No, without a doubt. Surrounding yourself with positivity does, it's contagious, Anton Rex wants to know, what is the best part of your day when streaming?
Getting food from Mame 30. She brings me it down as I'm streaming, and it's always like this amazing, like 5-course meal, and it's incredible.
No, it looks, it does look incredible every time. And I love that you've got a camera for that, because sometimes like when I'm watching the stream, sometimes if I'm working or if I'm just relaxing or whatever, like I see that and I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't have moved out of the house.
And speaking of which, I want to thank you, Harry, because like you're one of the interviewers that I love, because like you genuinely know about the streamers that you're interviewing. Like you actually like watch, like for example, you watch like Sancho, Julie, about that. I remember your first like interview you did. Like, anyway, you're amazing. You're amazing.
No, man. Listen, I appreciate that. Like, I take my craft as seriously as you take yours, or at least
I can tell.
I try to. You know what I mean? Because do. Like, I have to know what I'm talking about. So, no, man, without a doubt. And so Kyle Gamer 2 here says, hello, Nick. Just wanted to say, what are a few tips for starting a YouTube/gaming career in today's age? Please and thank you.
Yeah, so it's definitely really hard to get found nowadays. I think the biggest thing that you could do is try to be unique as you can with regards to editing, with regards to your personality, with regards to a lot of that stuff. Because, there's already people who are watching their favorite streamers or favorite YouTubers. It's very rare that someone's going to try to find someone new. So with regards to finding someone new, try to learn the YouTube algorithm, try to learn how videos are discovered. And you can do that on YouTube. Like, how are tags used? How are descriptions used? What is click-through rate? What does the algorithm favor? And you learn all these things. Like, for example, without getting into too much detail, because I know there's a lot of questions we got to answer. Basically, you'll learn that, your videos will get recommended if people are staying on YouTube and they're watching this video and they're going to this video and this video and this video. It doesn't matter if it's yours or not. But if you're linking them off YouTube to follow your Twitter, YouTube sees that. They don't want people leaving their site. Your video gets de-recommended. So you learn stuff like that. So put the time in, basically, to learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And not necessarily that my opinion matters or anything, but a good example of that, I think, is I think I discovered you on Instagram. And then I discovered Sancho through you. And then I think I discovered somebody like Julie on YouTube. So like, it could be anywhere, right?
Exactly. You never know.
Absolutely anywhere. Yeah.
So that's actually another good tip from you. Like, expand your platforms. Try it on every site.
Yeah. The internet is a very big place, so,
exactly.
You could get found anywhere. I like this question, and I'm also very curious what your answer is here. What Fortnite season was your favorite and why?
I love this question. Season 3, because at the end of it, they did asteroids falling from the sky, or meteorites or meteors. And it led into this big season event, season 4. And that was the first time they had ever done an event. And after that, they did event after event after event after event. So that's the first one that started it. And it was so cool. The meteors falling while you're doing sky bases and everything.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. We got another one here. Hey, Nick, when do you think that cars will come out in Fortnite? And do you wish that Epic released patch notes so you could show the stream?
Actually, you know what? They give creators patch notes nowadays.
They really?
People are posting screenshots because they'll send us, people who have supported creator codes, they send them the patch notes. Well, not patch notes, but general like new stuff, new content. And I have no idea when cars are coming out. I don't leak the files or anything like that. I do have connections with Epic Games, but not that close. Like they're not going to tell me, you know what I mean? They keep it pretty secret.
I love that slight flex, you know. I love it. That's good. I mean,
Hey,
you gotta stay on top of that
I'm trying to
content.
get here, so I gotta flex sometimes. You know, it makes me feel good.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, without a doubt. I love this question from regular Rudy, especially because I've met Dad A30. Have you ever thought of letting your dad play Fortnite and you guiding him through it?
Yes. Oh my God. So that's like a thing on the to-do list, like especially with the new setup tour. I'm eventually going to get to that video. I want to do a video where I try to get Mom A30 and Dad A30 to get a Fortnite win, and I'm going to try to coach them. That's definitely something that we've considered and we're going to do, but I hope very soon.
I love that. I love that. Well, listen, we're gonna make sure everybody holds you to that. If you're watching this stream, make sure we hold Nick to that. We're not letting him get away without doing that. Nick, it looks like we're getting ready to cut off here.
Okay.
We're going to continue the discussion on the official VidCon Discord server, so you guys can continue over there. Nick, thank you so much, man. This was a great time. You know, hopefully at some point we'll get to do this again, and you know, just keep doing your thing, man. I respect the hustle.
I appreciate it. And thank you everyone that came out and watched us. And Harry, thanks for being a great interviewer. Like you are literally the best. And it was such a good time. Like it felt like a conversation more so than an interview, which I love.
Love it, man. Hey, that's how we do it, right?